Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody. Deb is having some technical difficulties. She'll join us, but we're going to get started. Let's see. I see one member of the public, Scott. Do you want to say anything before we started?
Yeah, hi Vic. So just quickly, it'd been a while since I think we all caught up about the Maple Terrace project. I hadn't thought much about it, but my lawyer reached out yesterday because he had sent I think our response to the easement through to, I think Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Yeah, which is, as we'd agreed in the last meeting, just to, I guess, try and help things move along. He said he hadn't heard anything, and I guess that was a couple of months ago. So I wanted to check in and see where we're up to and see if there's anything we need to do to keep things going along.
Patrick, can you give us an update on that?
Specifically on the agreements, no, I don't have an update, but I can follow up with Jennifer after the meeting and see where we are. I know that's not holding us back at this point, but we do want to get it done. So we can follow up today and make sure that gets moving.
Paul, can you give us, and it's on the agenda, but let's do it now since Scott's here. We don't have to hold him here. Can you give us an update of where we are with that?
So in addition to the easements, we have two mitigation components. One is a wetland component. There's 0.041 acres of wetlands that have to be mitigated. The township underwent a study for DEP's purpose to identify properties that are owned by the township and would be suitable for mitigating the wetlands. And we concluded that based on various reasons, there wasn't a suitable location for this. So we requested that we purchase credits, mitigation credits for offsetting the wetland component. And DEP responded that there are no credit banks available. So we're appealing to them now to see if they'll accept a different credit bank to pay into, because we're unable to find a suitable piece of property. Recently, Mr. Wary and administration, had sent over some additional properties. I sent that to Mr. Scherer. He was reviewing them, but his initial response was that, they're not suitable either. There is a riparian buffer mitigation component as well, but that we can pay into a bank, and DEP's accepted that. So the real issue is the wetland mitigation, credit mitigation.
And Mayor, you sent a email to your liaison in the governor's office a couple times now. Oh, you got help with your dog.
Sorry.
All right, George. George
Sorry.
is on the line.
George is on the line. Yes, and I didn't hear back on that. And then, of course, the last couple days, my conversations with the governor's office have been more ICE related. So I will reach out and follow up again, see if they're gonna be able to. Last time they did, I think, get DEP, that was in June. And then this time I haven't heard. Seems kind of silly.
Scott, anything else? That's where we are. We're having a tough time with DEP.
Yeah, I mean, that's not new, is it? If there's anything that we can do as residents, then please just let us know, because we're, as motivated as we have been. But I appreciate what you're doing, and yeah, just keep us in touch.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're certainly welcome to stick around, but
I've got to
Probably
get my
not.
daughter to school, but I
All right,
appreciate the
okay.
offer.
makes sense. All
All
right.
right. Thank you all.
Thank
Bye.
you. Okay, so we're gonna go into the school traffic initiatives. Columbia High School. So Paul, any observations after the first week?
So, based on my observations, I think the drop-off plan overall was a success. It seems that the parents are, getting into the flow of things. I want to thank police. They did a good job enforcing this. And, with the presence of police and the cones and the plan that was submitted, I think the parents are getting it. I think they are getting used to it now. We may have been a little overzealous with the cones in front of the high school. I think, Mike, you may have peeled some of those cones back. But overall, it seemed to be a success. We did learn a few things. I think we've added some one-way signs. We also added a VMS board, that indicates no K-turns because certain people were making K-turns on Academy Street. And that hopefully has subsided. But overall, I think it's been a success.
We have a couple of users. Deb, Malia, you have any comments?
I think it has been a success, except for the coordination with the utility companies and the street closures,
Yeah.
with no warning to parents.
That's been a disaster.
Yeah, so that I think we need to figure out improvement.
No warnings to us too, by the way.
We have, Ms. Engel, just to update you, we have worked with the utility companies. I think we're now in a consensus. They're very sensitive to blocking off areas around the school. We've reinforced this with them. We've basically told them they can only work on one major road at a time, and they have agreed to that. We've also had discussions on reducing the number of crews. At the high point, they were at 4 crews and 1 for doing test pits for a total of 5 crews. And we're having them reduce the number of crews, so the impact should be less to the township.
Well, they are coming. Had some correspondence I saw. They're coming to Valley Street.
They are coming to Valley Street. They already were at Valley Street doing test pits. They were not supposed to block off traffic on Valley Street. Of course, I found out by Hickson Place they did block off Valley Street. So that's been since corrected, but the real work is going to be the service replacements, and we asked them for traffic plans, so we're still waiting to receive those. I wanted to review that with our police once we get them, and administration.
Yeah.
Malia, any?
I just have a question. I feel like the communication with this contractor has been a disaster. We've seen it with the business districts. We see it with these. Is there anything in their contract? I think the mayor was saying something about performance or whatever, or is there language in the future contracts that we can put in that they're very disruptive? And I just feel like this has happened previously with other contractors as well. So I don't know if there's anything we can be putting in agreements or that they have to do.
So I'm sorry, we haven't engaged with them. We're not contracted with New Jersey American Water or Montana. They're a quasi-public agency, and they have blanket agreements with our township to be able to access roads and perform these upgrades. But New Jersey American Water contracted directly with Montana. So we were not part of those discussions and agreements. So, but I will say that Montana has been very responsive to any input that we've had. If we ask them to change something, they generally do.
Deb, did you hear all that? I know you jumped off.
No, my computers, I think,
Okay,
died.
so basically, the ones who are causing the most disruption around the school are the water. It's the water company,
Yeah.
and that's not a contract directly with us. They have a contract between
No,
New Jersey American Water and Montana.
I know that. I just mean because, oh, I see what you're saying, because we didn't hire them, the water company
Correct.
hired them.
Correct. The other one has caused enough trouble up on Springfield Avenue. That's the other one. That's doing the curbing and the paving. They're a challenge also. And then the coordination of the two. But we don't directly control Montana, although I will say that I've been with Paul over at the high school when he's gotten on the phone, let them, Montana and New Jersey American, know that we want some changes. So we have some influence, but we just not are the contracting agency.
And I think also some of it is police don't get a notification to send out a nixle, because some of it could be fixed if it's like, oh, I know that Prospect and Tuscan are going to be closed. I have like 5 other ways I can go. But so if residents know in advance the street closures, then they'll go to school a different way.
Hey, Patrick, when when New Jersey American Water hires like the state police or the county, are we notified that the work will take place, or because we're not the police we don't get notification?
We don't get direct notification. We have patrols go around to identify the areas that are closed. So what we get from New Jersey American Water is a listing of where they're going to be working. Usually they'll give us maybe a 2-week look ahead, and then the day prior, they're telling us exactly where they're going to be working. But when we get that list, what we don't know, and to be fair to American Water, a lot of times what they don't know is how far into the street they're going to have to dig for the service, how far apart the services are. They don't exactly know what the road closure looks like. And so a lot of times we'll know where they're working, we'll know that they want to have police officers, but not until the officers show up in the morning do we understand the full extent of the shutdown, how many blocks are closed. And so when we have officers go there in the morning, they set up the closure, then they radio into dispatch and let them know what the closure is. And then the watch commander will put together the Nixle alert. And when we don't have someone, when we have other officers who are doing outside agencies doing control, our officers will radio in when they drive around and check, and then we'll put out the Nixle alert with that information. So that's why the Nixle goes out later than we would prefer, because we don't have the information until it's, at the moment when you see it come out is about when we have all the information together. And to reinforce Paul's point, we've worked with New Jersey American Water to only work on one major roadway at a time, which they've agreed to. So Paul gave them a list of, what you would expect, the Ridgewoods, Wyoming's, Valleys, Parker, Prospect, all those roadways. And so they're only going to work on one of those at a time. So you won't see them at like Prospect and Tuscan so close again. And we're working with them to reduce the number of crews. When they had originally started, and brought this project to us, they had said they were going to be working with 2 crews in 2 parts of town. They're up to 5 crews now. For a while, that was okay, but over the summer, I think while it was impactful, they were making a lot of progress. But at this point, now back to school and more people back to work, it's having too great an impact, and so we're working with them on reducing it.
And we're not doing nixles about every road closure though, because Prospect was closed yesterday and there was no nixle that I saw, I don't think.
We should be doing road closures for
It was,
everyone.
I got a notice it was closed because I
But you
avoided it.
did? Okay,
That
maybe I
doesn't
just
mean
missed it or after.
That doesn't mean that at times it's not missed. So I know that like Chief Sally has picked up on things that were missed, our own officers, myself, and maybe that's why you might see 2 nixles in one day. And all road closures aren't set up at the same time. So that's also why you might see multiple nixle alerts.
Thank you for explaining that.
Malia, any reaction, response, anything you're hearing?
Yeah, thank you. I did one drop off and I noticed the traffic on Valley was pretty backed up, but when I got onto Prospect, there were much fewer cars on Prospect. It was a lot wider open in terms of like the cars on Prospect, which I thought was really good because there's a lot of kid traffic on Prospect crossing the streets. One thought I had was, if we would consider like a slower, how they do like during school hours, the speed limit is a slower amount. Because it seems like that one block of Prospect is where there's a lot of kids crossing, and you really, really have to be paying attention. The police officer who's directing did a great job. It seemed like traffic was really backed up on Valley because when he did let them go, there were a ton of cars. Um, and then when you get up to the top of Prospect, of course, if a car is turning left, and then they gotta wait, and then the car that intersection was a little problematic. But overall, I thought it was going really well, and I saw a lot of cars pulling off on the side streets on Kensington in North Terrace to do drop-offs. So I think people are getting used to it, and I haven't heard anything from other parents.
I haven't received, any emails since we did it. Mayor, anything you received that we may not have? Anything? I know beach people were concerned, but haven't heard from them since we started.
No, I haven't heard anything.
There was that one email from the resident trying to sell their house on Parker.
That was regarding
That was
New
the
Jersey
water
American
work.
Water
That was
line
the
replacement.
water.
I spoke with that person yesterday. Paul connected with New Jersey American Water. I think that's a problem we'll be able to solve.
Okay. All right. Paul, have you heard anything about the middle school and the scissor gate?
I have not heard anything
No,
on that.
I sent an email to the teacher yesterday and did not hear anything. So, okay. And then Seth Boyden, Paul, can you just remind us the steps we've taken there on Seth Boyden, Boyden Avenue, that whole area there?
Sure. So first of all, we reconstructed the intersection, I think in 2023, Tuscan Road and Boyden. We moved the crosswalk to the opposite side of the intersection to make it safer and improve sight distance. And we also reinstalled the rapid flashing beacons, PED signs. In terms of Tuscan Road and Burnett, we actually restricted movements, left turning movements, and onto Tuscan Road to reduce traffic going towards the school. We put up, if you recall, the quick curb and with the mounted bollards, and restripe that intersection with "Do not block the intersection" striping. And in terms of the left turn slot on Boyd Ave, we also increased the left turning slot for cars going westbound on Springfield Avenue. So at the Boyd Ave intersection, so we completely restriped all of that as well. So those are,
And the one, when we changed the crosswalk across Boyden from the south side to the north side, and the south side had a big tree that used to block the intersection. With that corner, we eliminated a parking space and then we daylighted that corner. Is that correct?
yeah, thanks for pointing that out. So we did, in fact, we moved it mainly because of the tree to improve sight distance. And we did daylight the intersection by removing a parking space, and we believe used yellow chevron striping so that would improve sight distance as well.
We had explored the possibility of putting a bump out there, but there were some sewer issues, and I also think there was a turning radius onto and off of Tuscan.
Yeah, all the above. If you place a bump out, you also have to consider the stormwater runoff implications to it, and that normally involves extending pipes and adding structures. It becomes quite expensive, and that would be on both sides. So that we opted not to include the bump out in that location, and we opted instead to improve sight distance and eliminate the parking. So that was a reasonable alternative.
When is
Anybody have
the
any? I
parking
know we're
lot?
gonna
Did you,
go ahead, Nancy.
yeah, the crossing, the flashing beacons, did we change that? Is that the one that sucks or is it the good one?
So it's currently the one that
Outdated.
that's outdated. They actually work, but they're very low, so they need to be replaced anyway. I don't know if it's the battery or the solar panel that's old or outdated. But we're going to replace it with rapid flashing beacons. We've put together an RFP that's going to go out, and we're going to try to get a contractor as soon as possible to have that work done.
We can't just buy the new ones and install them ourselves?
No, they require a deep footing, the new rapid flashing beacons. They have a spun aluminum pole, and honestly, with the cost of the units themselves, it's going to exceed any of the quote thresholds. So under public contracts law, we're required to solicit quotes for this.
So right now, the outdated signs are still there, and they're just not as bright as we had. Paul, is it possible we could just send DPW over there? Maybe they could just clean the tops of those solar panels. Maybe that's also just
We can,
something to see if, if that's a possibility, we should just do that.
we can see if there's an interim service that we can do to try to enhance it. So we'll look at that. We'll certainly consider cleaning that. And in the past, we've actually had them serviced by companies like Straight Edge. Sometimes it's a battery. So we'll look into that to see if there's an interim step we could take until the rapid flashing beacons are in.
Okay. We're going to have a lot of people at public safety, so we'll relay this information tonight.
I wanted to ask if there was any thought given to putting like bollards or a planter or anything like that at the intersection.
So there really isn't sufficient
front of the
room to
school.
place this. That's really the issue. I mean, we could consider some type of mountable bollard in a short span, but we're lacking geometry of the road. It's just not really wide enough to consider those enhancements. There's already a lot going on there.
Very narrow road, and the difficulty is that right turn from Boyden onto Tuscan Road. Like even a panel truck, like a UPS truck, has difficulty getting around that corner without going into the other oncoming lane on Tuscan.
The one thing we will consider doing, we keep placing these in-street pet signs and with the bases, but they keep getting hit and knocked over. So I think, Mike, if we can work on getting replacement signs there, I'll work with you on the placement of them to minimize, them getting hit. But I think that's something we want to ensure going forward, that that's always there as well.
The other thing that I've heard people asking about is a stop sign there.
Well, a stop sign, there's two problems. One is the warrant analysis is never going to be satisfied, I don't think. Boyden is going to have a much higher traffic volume than Tuscan, so that's the first problem. And the second problem is Boyden, I think, is considered an emergency route. We try not to implement stops unless we need it.
Okay. And then there were reports from residents that cars are parking like on the sidewalk in front of the school. This was news to me, so I don't know if that's happening. Because I guess that's why they put out all those signs of no drop off right there. So there was
I think they were. I don't think they were mounting the curb. They were just parked there. They were dropping people off there.
Okay. It sounded like they were saying people were pulling up on the curb, which I was like, what?
We can confirm that with the school district today. I saw that video as well when doing my own drop off at Boyden. I understood those signs to mean you couldn't stop on Boyden to do drop offs, not that you couldn't mount the curb. But we can confirm with the school district, and if they do have an issue with people mounting the curb, we can offer them whatever advice we were able to give and work with them in addressing it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll look to do that today before the meeting.
Again, we went to the school district with a plan to widen that driveway to allow people to drop off in that driveway. And nothing happened with the school.
Would it be worthwhile to do that again now that there's a new superintendent?
I think there's yes, I think there are some issues there. It's a costly endeavor. There's also some trees that well, at least one tree that has to be removed to do that. And maybe more. And it is a challenge. It is a challenge to get the school board to pay attention. As you know, Deborah, when we're working on the Greenway.
I do,
Very
but
hard.
if family just got hit right there,
Yeah,
that is a time that they might be more interested in it.
it might.
Is there any way we could move the curb and the sidewalk up and do it on our property, on the street, widen the drop-off area instead of the driveway?
No.
No.
In fact, if we did that, it would even be more costly because of the telephone poles. By using the driveway, we avoid, I think, all the telephone poles, maybe except for one.
Look, we developed a concept sketch a few years back, and I know we met with the
Yeah.
school, we presented it. I don't think they, they showed interest, but I don't think they did anything with it. But we, if the committee wants us to, we could resurrect that and, take another stab at that concept sketch and update it.
So
Yeah,
with this latest
Uh,
round of emails, I got an email from superintendent asking, is there anything they can do? So I responded, I said, stay tuned. We might need something. So we can go back and say, hey, we'd like to talk to you about the drop off.
I think we should do
That's a
that. And
good
we,
idea.
I think, have a municipal partnership meeting coming up. So the mayor and I can also mention it there to get the Board of Ed
Okay.
interested.
Okay. Anything else on this stuff? Any other school issues, Paul, from your perspective?
Not that I'm aware of. To echo points, not to beat a dead horse, but we did have some communication issues with utility companies. But I think a lot of that's been resolved. So that's all I have to report.
All right. We got a request from a Colgate Road resident about a crosswalk on Tuscan, Paul.
Yeah.
What is your reaction to that?
So my initial reaction was that Colgate is awfully close to that, the hill, the crest of the hill. And in talking with this individual, I think they brought up Wellesley. They said there's a crosswalk at Wellesley. And, that's roughly the same distance as Colgate, so why can't we include a crosswalk at Colgate as well? I will, to the credit of the resident bringing this up, there really isn't, there's sidewalk on the north side, but there's not sidewalk on the opposite side of the road. And it makes it difficult for residents on Colgate to actually get to the sidewalk on Tuscan without a crossing there. Because there's not a contiguous sidewalk. So what I've done was I've sent this to Dynamic. I've asked them to look at the site distances to see if that would even satisfy the requirements. And if we have sufficient distance. And before I reply to the resident, I wanted to at least, check our basis to make sure that we're right. I mean, similar to Jefferson, there are steps we could take to, to make it safer and probably justify a crosswalk. But I wanted to have that discussion with our traffic engineers first.
Yeah, it would be a lot easier. That whole stretch of Tuscan, we got another email, township committee got another email from an individual who, and from the few individuals who have talked about the difficulty behind the Hilton branch of the library crossing there, people, not honoring the crosswalks there. Just the site, not having the site because you're going up the hill there and coming down the hill pretty fast. Can we have just Dynamic take a look at that street, maybe from Prospect to Springfield, and just give us their thoughts and how we can over-engineer something there?
Okay, we're good at that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, no shit.
We're happy to look at that.
All right. Okay. Boy, we haven't talked about this for a while. How about the Parker Avenue bike lanes? What's the timeline? And where are we with you? You were going to meet with the woman at the owner of Ken Parker.
Yeah, I think the owner's concern was just the location of the bollards with respect to her driveway. And we'll certainly, I have not met with her, but
All right.
I've offered to meet with her. We just haven't, I guess, met up. But we'll arrange that. In terms of the timeline, we're having draft plans by next week to review. And it's really my goal to get a final set of plans pushed. We certainly put this on high priority on Dynamic. And we'd like to get it publicly advertised. We may end up putting this on the street for the minimum time period. But I want to try to get this awarded by the second meeting in October. And the reason for the push is simply seasonal. It starts getting cold. And we really want to put down thermoplastic striping when the temperatures are 45 degrees or greater. So, it presents a problem at nighttime when it starts getting cold, the pavement's cold. So that's what we're pushing for, is to try to get this done and awarded at the October, second meeting in October. And with that, if it's awarded, then we can certainly move forward with the work and get that done, most likely early November. The leaves are another reason to get it done as soon as possible too, because late November, the leaves are tremendous, and it makes doing a project like this a lot more difficult.
Paul, my birthday is November 3rd, if you want that as your goal date.
We'll shoot for that, Miss Engel.
And then one of you can teach me how to ride a bike.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sounds like a challenge. We'll challenge accepted.
When is that? When is that second meeting in October? I'm just thinking, if so, the second meeting is the 21st. Okay. If I think, I don't want to speak for all my colleagues here, but I think this is really important. If somehow that slipped and we had to have a special meeting, we should even consider that before the end of October. Okay.
Hopefully it doesn't come to that.
All right. And then the township committee's also got to adopt ordinances for the no parking and all that. So we'll work with Jennifer on getting that started. That also has to be coordinated with the striping. All right, so let's go back to the Springfield Avenue road work, New Jersey.
Wait, can I ask one more bike lane question? Sorry,
Yep.
because I'm on my phone, I don't have the agenda open. Where are we with like the Donnell bike lane? Like we kind of had a plan, there were some challenges with the plan, and then it's
Right.
kind of just sitting there. We haven't moved it forward.
That's exactly right. We haven't done anything with it.
Can
I think the last thing was that the mayor asked Dynamic to give an analysis of how more traffic will end up on Valley if we were to make Donnell a one-way.
And did they do that?
I don't believe they have.
I don't think they released anything, but they may have done some work on that. So I think I can reach out to them to see if they can release what they have on that.
Can we maybe put this back on the agenda for next month? Just
Yes.
to get it moving again.
Yes. We did ask the deputy fire chief about making Jefferson one-way between, I'm sorry, making Donnell one-way between Jefferson and Oakland. And he thought it would not be a problem. I thought it would be a problem. He said that if the fire trucks had to go down that road, they would just go down that road the wrong way. So I think we have to have further conversation with him and our chief and maybe our insurance risk manager to see if that makes sense. Because if we know, I mean, I know fire trucks do go down and police cars do go down streets when they have to, but we may be leaving ourselves with a lot of exposure there.
Not typically by design.
Correct. That's correct. Okay.
And then I know people always bring up the commuter parking on Donnell, but when I drive there, it doesn't feel like there's that many cars there. Jitney's park there.
There are, I counted.
Oh, there are.
And then it keeps creeping back.
And lost the bet.
NBC just ordered all their staff in 4 days a week. So, we've seen more and more.
Look at this guy up to date on everything.
They're trying to be. I have high expectations from my bosses.
Yeah, wow, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
And that flows downhill, by the way, to me.
Yeah, good. That's the plan, Nancy.
About 30 to 40 cars.
Yes. Nancy, did you have something to say?
No, I want Pat to answer my text because I need him to remind me what the street was I'm asking about.
Okay.
So much for demanding, boss.
Wait, there's 30 or 40 cars from Donnell near Jefferson, near the Greenway?
No, from
Oakland to Oakview.
yeah.
Oh, okay. No, that's very highly park.
Yes, no, that little stretch down on the corner of Jefferson and
Yeah.
Donnell, it can only fit about 7 or 8 cars.
There's not,
No,
I
there's
don't see
usually
many
not that
cars
many.
there. The
Yeah, there's
jitneys
usually
do.
not that many.
So I feel like that would be okay to not need parking.
Well, if you raise the rates, then maybe we'll encourage more people to do the jitneys instead of parking.
There you go. Not everybody can do the jitneys, remember.
I know.
Okay, let's go back to Springfield Avenue. Paul, the general store keeps your email pretty busy.
So I have some good news, actually 2 bits of good news. So New Jersey American Water hired Gemma Construction in Montana to restore the services and replace them. All the services have been replaced. Gemma will be finishing the paver restorations associated with those service replacements by the end of this week. So they'll be completely done with Springfield Avenue. In terms of
Paul, just what does that mean when you say that these are the asphalt patches that are in the sidewalk?
yes, this is the tough area, the tough part outside the street within the walkway where they ripped up the pavers to get to a meter box, and they restored it temporarily with asphalt. They're now refinishing them properly, so they'll be completed with that by the end of this week, and they'll be done on Springfield Avenue, the entire corridor. In terms of our contractor DLS, we did have a field meeting this week. We had NJ Transit present, we had Nicole Wallace there, and we had our contractor, we had our inspectors, and we discussed a paving schedule, which would start right now, weather pending, September 22nd, that week. And we're taking advantage of Rosh Hashanah with 2 days off for the kids. So we thought that would reduce some of the chaos and congestion. The idea is to actually split up Springfield Avenue into 3 sections. And by doing that, we don't have to impact the other sections while one section is being worked on. The idea is to mill one section, pave it entirely, stripe it, bring that back into service, and then go to the next section. And that's the layout that we took.
Can you tell us the sections, Paul?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull this up. Dave, do you have those offhand?
Yes, I do. It is going to be Jacoby to Tuscan for phase 1, Tuscan to Prospect for phase 2, Prospect to Milburn for phase 3.
So in doing this, by separating this into 3 sections, I think it'll minimize the disruption, and we had the contractor agree that they will not start the further section until the first section is completed, including striping or temporary striping. So Nicole Wallace seemed to be, I don't want to speak for her, but she seemed to be in agreement with this, and I'll be sending out an email actually today with detour plans, draft detour plans, and the schedules. I know NJ Transit reached out to us. We've had merchants reach out to us, so that email is going to go out today.
Okay. We'll be bracing for emails to us the week of the 22nd.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Anything else on Springfield Ave?
We've gotten some pretty thick skin by this point, so.
Yeah, someone please tell
Okay. At the last meeting, I brought up the DEP grant opportunity. Did you have a chance to take a look at that?
I have not had a chance, but we will commit to looking at that. We just haven't had the bandwidth, quite frankly, with all the projects.
And then on parking, I'm sure we solved the scooter problem temporarily. Have you had a chance to take a look at that anymore?
We did look at this, and what we've identified was an area where the bump out is on Donnell Road, on the downhill side of the bump out that we installed on Donnell. There's an opportunity to install scooter parking there. that we identified. And, you know, the reason we wanted to select that area was that because Denell in that location is one way, there's not a sight distance requirement. So it's a safer location for scooter parking. Right now, it's just chevron striping. I don't believe we would lose any parking spaces as a result, which is a huge plus. We would simply have to restripe that area for the scooter parking.
And that's not a covered area, correct?
It is not a covered area, no. It does receive, I think, some shade, you know, from the surrounding trees. So, you know, maybe UV protection to a certain extent, but it's not covered.
So that's on the south side of the bump out or the north side?
It's on the downhill side.
Downhill side, okay.
Vic, that is the south side, yes.
South side, yeah.
I kind of figured that.
Yeah.
And then we spoke about the parking, the commercial parking on Colgate. And Nancy suggested it might be a result of all the confusion that's going on Springfield. You haven't taken a look at that again, right?
I've had Scott has gone out there and looked at it. I don't see him on the call. But he's looked at it and we're trying to establish some data and patterns. We want to go out there several times to view it. So we're not done with our analysis yet.
Okay. And just one other thing, the township committee at its last meeting agreed with the 5 foot on Salter. So that should be introduced on the 16th.
Okay. I've also brought up Duran Road from Brookside to Ridgewood and implementing that 5 foot distance. We actually sent letters to the residents. One resident had responded and said, well, we don't, you know, he didn't prefer the striping in the street to denote the parking spaces. He would prefer to see signs. But my only concern is that's not generally as effective, and we already have a lot of sign pollution in the town. So I think I'd prefer to see the striping in the street, similar to Park Road next to Town Hall. It only sticks out 3 feet because
Yeah, it's not very intrusive.
right.
Okay, well, we have not received. You're going to send us a memo on that, right?
We're going to send a memo when we could draft the ordinance change as well for Jennifer to review.
Okay. Well, it's got to go to the township committee for. That's how we're doing these.
Okay.
Okay. 44th Street. Yes.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
it's the one I meant to get on the agenda. It's South, what is it, Pat? South 4th and Lindsley.
Yep.
There's a resident who parks a commercial truck, a big yellow truck, every day on the street. It's for his work, but he doesn't work for himself. He works for another company. But it's real obtrusive, and we've been hearing from the neighbor for a couple months now about it. I can show you a picture if I can find it. I'm just wondering, not maybe just the 5 feet from you know, a driveway thing might work, but then, you know, there's concerns about making this guy move, you know, not have a place to park. But let me see if I can share this. I hope it's the right thing. You see that truck?
Yes.
You
know,
and that's
Mayor,
there every day. It's,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
We looked at
Go
this in
ahead.
prior years because I think previously there were buses that were sitting there, and we had added signage. This is going back a few years. I don't recall the signage, but it basically restricted parking in that location. And we could revisit that because maybe the sign was hit and removed, and now no one's, you know, observing it. So that's something we could look at.
And the sign said what? Was it no parking at
It
all?
restricted parking, you know, no parking here to corner or something to that effect. And I don't recall the exact language we used. This is going back a number of years, but we could look at that, you know, revisit that and figure out what we performed before and then reinstall it if necessary. Chancellor, I believe, is a
I
county.
think, Paul, I think you're in the, are you talking
Yeah.
about 44th?
No, yeah, no,
The
it's
mayor's
South
talking about
Fourth.
South
South
Fourth,
Fourth.
so
Oh, South Fourth. I
South
apologize. Okay.
north
It's
of,
on the north
north of
side of town.
Underhill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. My apologies. Yep.
Could you-
Yeah.
And
could you
the
just
other
say
concern would
that?
be, and the mayor had
ahead,
alluded to,
Pat.
like, do you just start to push the truck around, you know?
That's what will happen.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah,
The only good thing is South
And I
Fourth
don't
turns
know-
into South Orange, so we can push them down to South Orange.
Mayor, what was the cross street? South Fourth and what?
Lindsay,
Lindsay.
Lindsay. Is it Lindsley or
I
Lindsay?
think it's Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Lindsley.
2 L's.
Lindsay,
We'll take a look.
Ley at the end, right? Or Lay.
I think, Paul, just to save your time, I think the meaningful or the way you control is if you want to restrict commercial parking during the day. I don't know of an engineering solution. Not to say you
Yeah.
shouldn't look, but I don't want you to.
How do you do it there and not everywhere else? Now, we did on when we had a problem once that people were we had a bus company that was located on Springfield Avenue where Advanced Auto is, and they were parking on Colgate.
Mm-hmm.
And then we passed something on there's some signs on Colgate, but it really was directed to the business. I think now you're talking about something that's directed to a single resident. I don't know how you do that without looking at the whole town where people are parking cabs on the street or, they work for PSE&G and they park their car on the street or their little van on the street.
I know, that's why it's not an easy problem.
But I do think the 5 foot, you can just kind of squeeze the person, but they're going to find some place to park.
Right, maybe it'd be in front of somebody's house who doesn't mind.
It could be on the side of a house. It could be on South 4th Street instead of Lindsay. Is it on? I think it's on Lindsley, right?
Yeah,
And South, I've seen them
park both
park
places.
both places. Yeah.
All right, if you could, but if engineering could just take a look, see if there's a 5-foot thing, I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out, because I
Has
wouldn't want.
anybody spoken to the owner of the truck?
I think the neighbors did, and,
No, I mean
but,
from the town,
Oh.
find out what the issue is. And why is he parking it there?
I suggested that to Pat.
He parks there because he drives at night and comes home during the day, so he's not impacted by the no overnight parking
Right.
restriction.
Right.
And it's his truck, and he's kind of out and back all night long. So,
Right.
So that's why he leaves it parked there. Yeah, I haven't talked to him only because I was at a loss for what I would tell him. Right, like, hey, why are you parking here? And he's gonna say, because I can. I'm gonna say, all right, if you have any trouble, call me back.
But
Well,
I
has he
think
looked at has he looked at alternatives? Is there an off-street lot he can park in during the day?
that's what I said.
The neighbor relayed to us that they talked to him about it, and his intent was to continue parking on the street.
Right, but we haven't suggested to him. I think it would be worth trying to have a conversation with him, Pat. Maybe you and I or something, we could figure something out. I don't even know his name, but we did find out he doesn't work for himself, so it's not like a cost to him. But if he's working for a company, maybe they should rent a parking space like on Rutgers or something from one of the dealer does.
He's got to be closer. He's got to be able to walk to his house.
No, not if he drives just like we all drive to work, drives to his truck, leaves the car there and then does his truck and then comes back. I don't know.
As it was
All right.
described to us, he's out and back all night long. So,
Okay.
but we can talk to him there.
Okay.
And then switching back to 44th Street, Paul, you were gonna put up some speed limit signs.
Mike, were you able to add a speed limit sign there?
I'm not too sure. I'll have to speak with Josh. If he didn't, I will make sure that speed limit signs are posted over there.
And
All
then the cleanup of the rain garden there.
I had my crew out there a few times over the course of the year. I know they were out there in the summertime doing a clean out,
Okay.
removing all the weeds and debris out there. And I recently told them again to just go out there and evaluate the situation and make any necessary repairs or clean up to the garden.
Okay.
Do they aware of the kind of plants? Because sometimes they're kind of specialized plants
Yeah,
right?
no, I've been out there and specifically told them what to touch and what not to touch.
That's my point. Yeah. Great. Thanks, Mike.
No problem.
I wanted to ask if there was an update on getting the evaluation of all the fields.
That's
We're
something
not
that,
there. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Oh,
When we
that's on
get to the
there?
park, yeah.
Okay,
When
I
we get
thought
to
that
the
was gonna
parks.
be under follow-up items.
Yeah, when we get to the parks. Okay, let's just go down public buildings.
Sure, public buildings, in terms of police, we're finalizing the SEPI grant. We've been in contact with Dave Titus and we're getting in that final paperwork that he needs to finalize the grant. Once that happens, we expect that we'll be able to go out to bid for the heat pumps for the police station. So it's been a long time in the making. Town Hall, we finalized the gas main installation in the rear to the greenhouses. So now all three greenhouses will be powered by the gas main that we've recently installed. So we're looking forward to getting that boiler in to replace the former oil fed boiler. And that work is tentatively scheduled for next week. But we're gonna finalize with the contractor, and that encompasses the greenhouse as well. We don't have anything new to add in terms of the woodland.
Just on that, Patrick, where are we with the architect for the woodland for all that?
Well, we currently have an application into the state for
Okay.
grant funding for that, so we'll find out from the spring. We met over the summer with our architect and reps from the state, and so I think they announced the grants late fall. That's what we're waiting on for next steps. Now, that's separate from the doors. So we're talking about the roof trusses, some
Right.
work on the siding, some work on the windows.
And the doors, where are we with that?
So I haven't asked an update for a few weeks. Dave, do you have any updates on that?
Margaret's on vacation this week, but the restoration specialist has completed their tasks. They haven't yet shipped anything back, and Margaret just has one or two details to finalize before we move ahead with installation.
Okay.
And that's just for one door, right?
That was just one door.
10 years. I'm gonna bet in 10 years to get all 10 doors. One a year.
Okay. Bergdorf Center,
Bergdorf Center, obviously DPW's been cleaning up after the filming. All right, that's been a project within itself, and Mike Horan's been working very hard with our staff on the stage itself, making the modifications to the stage. They had altered the height of the stage, and I think the strollers took exception to some of the changes that were made. So DPW took it upon themselves and working with administration, Mr. Weary here and Miriam, in terms of changing the backstage elevation, and we're actually making it safer by eliminating certain steps. I also had our structural engineer Scott McConnell sign off on a structural certification on the repairs that were made. So the stage is still being worked on and finishing up, but he's already certified the stage based on the construction.
yeah,
Mike,
we're in the home stretch of that. The stage is done. It's just mostly fit and finish work, just trim repair and painting the stage back to the original color.
Mike, I think it's called Act 3.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're
Act
correct.
3. You're in Act 3.
That's it.
The curtain's about to come down.
It-
Patrick, I know we had a little confusion over what we're accepting, the changes and all that. And we were going to reach out to stakeholders. Has that been done?
Yes, that was done prior to any
Yeah.
agreement on what DPW is going to work. So we met with Strollers, Interact, the film company, Andrea, our arts and culture manager, Paul and Mike. We met there on the at the Bergdorf on the stage. Everybody agreed that the stage that was installed by the film company was an upgrade compared to what was there prior. Everything except the fact that there was, like Mike had said, an elevation in the back. There was one step up on the stage that would have been in the dark during, a lot of their performance time, and that creates a fall hazard for them. So we leveled the rear of the stage to the front of the stage and went back into the rear area. We were able to take out some steps. So it's the stage prior was an improvement. I think removing some of the backstage steps is also an improvement. It's a lot of work. That improvement comes at a cost of DPW's time, but they've done a good job. So everybody's very happy with where we are. And the film company left behind a good amount of stuff that both Strollers and Interact are excited to make use of. So we're thankful for that.
And the seating is going to be restored the way it was?
Yes, yes. So exactly what we had prior.
Okay. And is there anything we have to do with SHPO to sign off on that piece?
Once the stage is done, we'll give notice to them, but I don't recall a requirement that they like to close it out. They had already given us the approvals of our plan.
Okay. All right, Paul.
So
19, go ahead.
sorry, 1978, I really have nothing to add. I don't have anything to add to the senior center. Mike, do you have anything to add to the senior center?
No.
In terms of and thank you. In terms of the libraries, we're gonna add a fountain with water bottle filler to the Hilton Library. That's been requested. And we're gonna make some ceiling repairs that were part of the roof leak. The good news is that we've had all this rain, knock on wood, we have not had a complaint about any further leaks at Hilton Library, so.
So what's the timeline on the whole? Because, one of the things now that we have such a beautiful library on Baker Street, it's really pretty dismal over at Hilton. And to have that big hole in the ceiling.
I was just talking to Mr. Haran about that, lining up some contractors. So we'll get some qualified people there to get some pricing for us, and if it's below the quote threshold, we can just award it directly.
Yeah, I'll start working on that today.
Okay.
Civic House, we did develop a draft RFP for architect services, and we're sending that out to try to solicit pricing for the Civic House. The idea is to get an architect lined up and to be able to bid this package out, over the winter. And what we're really looking at is probably spring construction for the Civic House. The firehouses, we did receive plans from Mr. Joe Gates regarding the cupola changes as well as the other changes to the building, including the rear garage door, as well as the soffit and gutter replacements for that building. So I've sent those over to the fire chief. I just need to follow up with him. I haven't received any comments from him.
I haven't heard the name Joe Gates in a long time.
Yeah. He was a good option for this work specifically, so that's why I used him.
On the parks, before we get into anything, Paul, Mike, you were not able to join us at the last meeting. We did have a conversation about the field assessments that we were planning to do of all the fields. And Paul indicated that you were working to get someone to come in and do that.
Yeah, I have been. I've been speaking with, I believe his name was Ryan at, I forget the name of his company, Sports Solution or something like that. I'm just working with him to get him a coordinated date and time for him to come out and take a look at the baseball fields and all the fields in general to give us a general idea of what we could do better to improve on the field's playability. So I'm just working with him to get him out here and see if we can get going.
And Mike, that would include maintenance, drainage, right?
Yeah, exactly. Seeding, overseeding, fertilizing, have him see if he can laser level the baseball field, just everything in general.
And when would that, so first we would get a plan, then we'd have to accept it and then hire his company? Is that what we're talking about?
Well, he's,
Company?
I think they would develop the recommendations. We would look at them and depending on what the cost of those recommendations would be, we may have to put together a bid package.
Okay.
That company may help us put that package together, but ultimately it may be a contractor doing the work, not necessarily them.
Okay, so they're like a planning firm as opposed to a contracting firm?
Yeah, like a consultant, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so we're talking about this assessment being done in the next 3 months in construction or DPW work being done in the spring?
I think we're looking at having the assessments done this fall. And
Right.
depending on the timing of that, I mean, more than likely, we're probably looking at very, very early spring construction. But that's
And also
something,
depending on budget, right, Paul? I mean, some of these might be 2026 budget requests.
yeah, when you start talking about it, well, so if it's simple things, overseeding, aerating, we can do that. I think it's gonna be, there's gonna be a lot of things that we can do in-house. There's gonna be certain things that we can't do in-house. And when we talk about drainage and laser grading the fields with the laser level, you know, fine grading in that nature, the cost adds up very quickly. So that may be something depending on the scope, you know, if we're combining all of the fields together, this could be well over the bid threshold. So, you know, that's something we'd have to put on the streets.
Malia, anything more on that?
No, I think that's that would be really helpful, Paul, if I can circle back with you.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
communicate that with the field subcommittee.
Of course.
Okay, so let's go to the pool. How we doing? Have we closed it up yet?
Mike?
I have to speak with Nick. I don't believe the pool has been closed up yet. I think last week they had their
The dogs. Went to
yeah
the
that
dogs. The pool went to
yeah
the dogs.
yeah I believe that was the last event that they had there. But I'll coordinate with Nick and see when he wants to start draining the pools and getting the tarps back up. And then obviously as the weather gets cooler, the building's got to be winterized.
I did want to ask one thing. When we did the pool walkthrough at the beginning of the summer, the mayor noticed that there was the sight lines from the pool area over to the street to Boyden. And we talked about like getting more plantings there. So I don't know if that was done or when's the best, I think now, right, is the best time to do plantings, or is that in the spring?
We'll probably do something over there later in the fall when our tree contractor comes in and starts doing the street tree planting. We'll add something to the upper part of the pool that hopefully can close up some of the sight line from the pool to the Avalon.
We were
Okay.
able to, I'm sorry, we were able to take advantage of the Union Co-op. They had really good pricing on trees. Instead of putting out a bid package, we're actually going through the Union County Co-op to provide our street trees and also our park trees. So, you know, that's gonna occur shortly.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
How many, do you know how many we're getting?
Over 200 trees total. The
Do we have
pricing,
any? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, the pricing.
Do we have any unaccounted for? Because town hall is going to need some.
I can definitely arrange to have some trees planted over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Town hall and the woodland. Remember, like we
Yes.
talked about
Yes.
where the foresting used to be from the lovely woman who's lived there 80 years. To
We'll ensure
reforest.
that gets done.
Okay. D Hart.
So D Hart, we did coordinate with VHB. I think I had indicated at our sustainable meetings, Maplewood meeting that all the drainage is getting redesigned and will be reconstructed at D Hart. And the main reason for that is the 48-inch pipes were preventing finger drains getting installed along the edges of the field. And this new design is gonna really double down on the edges of the field and capture that drainage. That's where all the wetness occurred previously, and we're gonna really reinforce that. The new design is going to have equal to or greater storage capacity than what existed previously, and there will be less water going towards Newark Way as a result. In terms of cost estimates, you know, I think we had floated out, Dave and I, 2.5 million. many, many months ago, and the design estimates are coming in right now just above 2.6 million. So it was a pretty good guesstimate in the beginning. But by the time we're fully done vetting all the costs and the design, we're probably looking at something around 2.7, 2.8 million is my guess.
So Patrick, would we do a bond for 3 million?
Yeah, we want to give ourselves some cushion because on top of Paul's costs.
Oh, you also had costs for Maple Crest, you said, yeah.
Yeah, and there's going to be some financing costs and all that. But then on the Maple Crest playground, we'll probably have a little bit to be financed. We may be able to get some of that from open space, and the rest will be from a funded bond.
So, we have 8 more meetings of the township, 7 more meetings of the township committee. So we got to get all this done.
As soon as Paul knows his number for the Heart, we'll move forward on both because we've got a good number for Maple Crest. We did. Can I give a real short update on that?
Yep.
We have worked with Game Time for the design that we like, and they're able to provide all of the designed elements on co-op contract, ESCNJ. I applied to them for a grant. We got $50,000 towards the project, so that's great. Helps offset some of what we would come back to the township committee to ask for. Right now, they're looking at if they can do all of the site work, so like the grading and drainage and all that through the co-op. They think they can, which would leave us just to do upgrades of the bathroom separately. So that would speed up the bidding process. It would also help us on the cost side. So we're moving forward pretty quickly on that now.
Great. Anything else with the parks? Mike, you good on the parks?
Yeah, we're good. We're going through, just routine maintenance, pruning and hedging.
There is one last update on D-Hart. So, they're developing these concept sketches and options. They're talking in general, but at one point we had talked about a survey monkey going out to the public in terms of what they would want to see for the passive recreation, other than the field itself. So I think that's something that we should get out as soon as possible in the near future. But I think I'm going to need help and assistance from recreation on that. And if there's anything that the committee wants to see added to that, we can also add that as well.
Patrick, can you work with the 2 departments and make that happen?
Yep. Paul, you're working on tennis courts and you're working on lighting at Memorial. You want to talk about that real quick?
So lighting at Memorial has been pretty frustrating working with Musco, the contact that we had. I think Melissa Mancuso has some other contacts that we're going to look at, because we've not been able to get updated pricing on the 35-foot pole for the lighting itself. So, Dave's been following up with them, and they really haven't responded. So we'll, as soon as she sends over those contacts, we'll reach out to them and try to get updated pricing for the lighting for that park. What else did you need?
Tennis courts.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about the Borden Park tennis courts? So we did open bids for Borden Park and for the tennis court replacement project, and I think we received good pricing. Dave, I know you look closely at it. Do you want to add anything to this?
We are going to offer recommendation. The committee should see a memo for approval at the next meeting. The contractor that's the apparent low is Brothers Ioso Paving. They've been in industry for a very long time. They've been doing sport and specifically tennis courts in the New Jersey metro region for 35 years. So they come qualified.
Great. Okay, let's move to roads and parking lots.
So in terms of the road program, we have paving that's actually ongoing right now. It started yesterday, and residents have been noticed. So as soon as this meeting's over, Dave and I are probably gonna run out and, check out the paving, so. There's quite a bit of work happening. We did perform some drainage improvements on Oak View. There was a concern of an area that we formerly paved where the contractor had super elevated the road and water from sump pumps were going across the road and creating an icing condition in the winter time. So we're adding some drainage to improve that, consisting of 2 drainage inlets and some extension of pipe that we're doing that as part of this road program.
Just on that, are we charging like stuff like that? Do we charge that to the stormwater utility?
Well, we certainly have that as an option. You know, some of these projects that we priced out in the beginning when we set this up actually came in under our
Okay.
initial estimates. So we have some additional money, but that's certainly an option. We could shift those costs to the stormwater utility. It's certainly an option. So in terms
And
of
just the only reason I want to keep raising that is, we are paying, as the town, we're paying $260,000 fee because of our roads.
yes,
So anytime I think that we're doing any kind of stormwater drainage, it should go into should be charged to that, if at all possible.
we'll take that cost, that extra that was part of the project. We'll take that out of the budget from the road program, and we can put that in the stormwater utility. Not a problem.
You agree, Patrick, or no?
I don't know. I have to talk to Paul. If there's capital money that's already been appropriated that Paul's spending out, it's harder to move that over to stormwater utility. For current fund items, that's easier because we've got current fund lines there. And
This-
then I just want to, we've got a lot of expenses that we're moving to that utility too. And we're gonna have a lot of debt to pay.
Okay.
So I can look at it further and
All right.
make a recommendation next month.
Just an aside, this was extra work though. We could talk more about it
We'll
offline.
talk later.
Yeah.
About so the county?
So I don't have a schedule from Asif from the county regarding the remaining signals. I know that they did extensive work at Parker and Valley, and they were able to finish substantially at least the flat work and concrete work at that location. But in terms of the actual signal replacements, I don't have an updated schedule from them. I will secure that and I'll get that circulated.
Okay.
The community development block grant, we are substantially complete with the latest block grant. Some of that work included flat work and concrete ramp upgrades for the crossings along Parker Avenue in front of CHS. So that was done before school started. We were able to get that done. But other work is throughout the township and they're substantially complete. They're just addressing punch list items right now.
So just going back to the road program, let us know when Garthwaite is going to be done so we can go up there and knock on doors.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Garthwaite is actually scheduled on 9/12. They're gonna start milling and they're gonna pave it the same day. I've spoken to residents about that, so,
Okay, cool.
you know.
All right.
Okay, moving on, Safe Routes to Schools, GPI continues with their preliminary work. They're not done. It's gonna take them a while. There's a lot of requirements they have to meet for the state. Again, the state reimburses us for that work. There's some vouchers I need to process for that work. But this week I have some time, so I'm gonna focus on getting that done. Moving on to stormwater management. So we have a couple projects. We have the Baker Street, Maplewood Ave intersection where we are using the stormwater utility to pay for this. That's one project we anticipated the cost to be higher and it came in substantially less than what we thought, which is good. The company Messer Cola is going to be awarded that project. There's a drainage structure that's in severe need of repair and that's preventing the PSE&G and finishing the street light at that intersection in front of the Wells Fargo Bank. So we want to get that done as soon as we can. It's ironic, but Mesocola also bid on 95 Tiffany and won that bid as well. So that work is scheduled in about 2 weeks' time. They're gonna mobilize to the site and start that work. And we've been in contact with the managers of that property, 95 Tiffany. We also have another project that's going to be worked on with the storm and utility, 34 Clinton. There was a portion of township pipe that settled, and we're going to make a repair there as well. So that's going towards the stormwater utility as well. I will note that we had smoke testing done by Mott McDonald, and that we received a draft report. We'd like to finalize comments, so if anybody has any comments, please get them to me. I think that was circulated, if I'm not mistaken, Dave. Did we circulate that? Okay, so we need to circulate the draft report, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll do that after this meeting. And you know, let's just get some comments together. I think it's pretty straightforward. The bottom line is there's some drainage inlets that are severely contributing towards the surcharging of our sanitary sewer. Those drainage inlets need to be redirected towards our stormwater collection system. All of those charges would also go to the stormwater utility. I think we talked about Maple Terrace.
Yes.
I don't know what you want me to add in terms of stormwater utility.
So a couple things. So on these projects that we're talking about, have we, we're going to be putting up signs saying that this is paid for by the stormwater utility?
We have a detail of a sign. We have to have it manufactured. So that's something Dave and I will get to a manufacturing.
Yeah, because I think it's important that people see, there's a lot of buzz about this. Unfortunately, a lot of the buzz was that the bills came out the day that it said they were due or later, even though, they still have until September 25th. Patrick, are you getting any comments?
Some comments. Yeah, I mean, and understandable. Not they were coming in to pay, so they're there well before the due date. But yeah, there was some frustration there, which is understandable.
Are you getting questions about, why folks are being assessed a certain amount?
Not much. Paul's gotten a handful, right? People want to know when.
Dave Barry thinks it's more than a handful.
Dave, I think he's just saying it's 5.
No, I think he's raising his hand.
About 5 a day.
That's how many you're getting?
Yes. And
what is the
and
nature?
I'm seeing about half of what the tax assessor's office is seeing.
The tax assessor's office is getting more, I think, frustration with the billing.
Yeah.
At the engineer's office, and sometimes I am
Very
getting
I'm getting the
more
technical
technical
point.
questions. Yeah.
And what are the comments being made about what we've assessed properties, assessed the fee at?
Primarily concerns around fixed income retirees that got caught off guard. They weren't expecting this. A handful are very technical about, oh, I used to be an engineer, blah, 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 blah. Those get resolved readily and easily. And fortunately we have a ramp with the credit manual. So I think I've sent that out to about 40 residents. I've seen 5 or 6 come back.
And are we getting any responses from the large fee payers? Patrick, I'm sorry, Patrick, any response to your letter that went out with the bill?
I got large ones. I got one from a resident near Valley and Jefferson, who the frustration was that stormwater doesn't flow across their property, at least into the stormwater system that flows into the river, and so they shouldn't be responsible for payment. I've got to work on a response to that. Otherwise, that's the only one that I've received. I don't know what Paul and David received.
I've received probably 6 to 10 requests for mitigation credits. We have a list going, and it's something that we're gonna methodically go through on on a first come, first served basis, and then prepare formal responses to.
And presumably, Patrick, we won't have this problem of late bills next year.
No. No, this was a direct result of it being the first time we've done this and having to upload all the data into Edmunds. And we still have some
That
things
is-
to get through.
Sorry, I just want, I know this is engineering and not tax office, but there are complaints about the ACH. Has that been addressed? Like people saying they signed up and then they can't pay their sewer bill on there, but they can pay their property taxes, or it's not working.
They'll
You don't
be
have to
able
answer now. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so there's a few pieces to that. So when we had sent the letter with the spring tax bill, and it said you can sign up for ACH, at the point it wasn't set up for them to enroll to pay stormwater. So if they want to pay stormwater, they can go into the online system and set up to pay stormwater. Also, with the spring billing, we had said that they should set up to do direct. I forget what it's called, whether it's like a direct draft. We want, that's still a possibility. So we can still take payment that way, but we prefer for people to auto enroll through Edmunds because the system's just easier for us on the back end. That's kind of a change, but the residents don't have to do it. I think some of that communication frustrated residents. So it's working, but we're still improving it.
I think it would be helpful to communicate that out next time there's a newsletter. Just explain what you just said, only, so that they can understand what
And
works
it's gone
and
out.
what doesn't.
Yep, it's gone out in a few Wednesday email blasts about our preference for how people register and what their options are, and we'll continue to put that out.
Patrick, I was surprised that we were being requested to pay with two separate checks, one for the sewer and one for the sanitary stormwater. What's the reason for that?
So it's preferred, it's not required. If we get one check, we can certainly take it in. The reason why it's preferred is that our stormwater utility are separate accounts, separate bank accounts, and separate accounting than the sewer. Sewer comes in through the general fund. And so if we take in one check, we then have to do journal entries on the back end to split that cash out. And that it's just added process. So if we can get people to give us two checks, we'd prefer to take two checks. If we can't, we'll still do those journal entries.
Seems like an unfriendly way I didn't think I thought it was just going to be one check and that because Joe represented that we could take one check and they would just split it. So
That's right.
okay.
Yep.
Maybe we can take a look at that again for next year and see if there's. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but you have to do a journal entry anyway. If I pay a separate check, you're doing that journal entry.
Well, no, because if you pay with two separate checks, when we take it into accounting at our cashiers, they put it into the system and it goes to that account. If we put it all, if you pay with one check, we put everything into the current fund, and then we have to go to a journal transaction to move it from the current fund over to the utility. Again, it's possible. You pay with one check, we'll be happy to take it. Our preference, if you're writing us out payment, is that you write two checks. We looked at
So
it.
you should look at the language because it wasn't that. It looked like you had to pay two checks. Okay.
Okay.
Traffic calming.
So traffic calming, we did open bids. Dan Swayze was the lowest responsible bidder. And
That's for Boyden Avenue, right?
that's for Boyden Avenue and Jefferson Avenue. So we're restriping both streets. I think that'll make a big difference. We're looking to get that work scheduled and performed in the near future.
When we say are we having the same problem? It has to be done before it's 40 degrees.
Yeah, we have the same exact problem. This one's a lot more manageable though, because it's already been bid out and, we have a low bid here. It's just a matter of finalizing the paperwork and getting them out there to do it. So I would envision the next, probably 2 to maybe 3 to 4 weeks, we'll get them out. But by mid-October, we should have it all complete. Well, there's a noticing component with this. Obviously, we have to notify the residents. There's a good part of this is gonna require, directing traffic. A lot of times these guys can work without traffic, but we do have to require no parking along these stretches to complete the striping. So that's also a big component of it, the no parking.
Any other things on traffic calming?
I don't have anything off the top of my head. Dave, do you have anything that comes to mind?
Not offhand. We've issued 1 or 2 packages for signatures to interested residents, but none have responded.
Jitneys. So we talked about this at the last meeting. We said we would bring it up again at this meeting. Nancy, you had some thoughts on what we talked about a 10% increase, which would raise it from the current $330 for commuter parking to $363, or if it's 15%, it would be $380, and 20% would be almost $400. Jitneys, again, 10%, 15%. So it was all in the memo. If
Yeah,
we
I
raise
saw the memo.
if we raise if we raise all 3 of those fees by 10%, we bring in another $24,000 based on the number of permits we sold this year. If we go 15%, we're bringing in about $37,000.
And what's I don't have the memo in front of me because I'm on my phone now. What's the total what does that bring it as far as, what you always talk about with, public transportation and the funding of it with like 50-50 or 40-60 or whatever?
Well, in New Jersey Transit uses 35 to 40% fare box. So the jitney cost is about $300,000. The jitney income, just the jitney alone, is $45,000. So that's about 15%, I think. Dave, you could probably figure that out quicker than I'd have to go to my computer here. Yeah, 15%. If we include all of it, then we're bringing in almost 100%. Looks like about maybe 90% if we include commuter parking, jitney passes, and jitney parking.
Well, I would like to go, since we haven't raised it in a while, I'd rather go 15% than 10, but that's, I just think we need to start funding it a little better. It's been a long time since we raised them.
It's a pretty substantial increase. On the commuter, it's $50. It brings it from 330 to 380. Deborah, you have any thoughts?
I was just gonna, while she's coming back on, our commuter parking permits are substantially lower than other towns, especially like where I go to work every day, and they always have been. So I think we can, get the increase without too much pushback given what they would have to pay elsewhere. But I think it's I can get some numbers from Summit and South Orange probably.
Honestly, it's not worth it because if you want to use it to make your case, that's one thing. But we've looked at numbers. There's no dispute. We stipulate that all the other parking lots charge a lot more. They're parked in parking lots, not on the street. That's a little different. Deborah, you want to weigh in?
Sorry, my boss was texting me, so I missed part of the conversation. I'm for raising commuter parking for sure. Did you say you're also raising jitney prices?
That's what we were talking about.
So how much?
There's three categories: commuter, jitney, and then a combo. You buy a commuter jitney, so you can drive sometimes and park and ride the jitney.
I'm not fully in support of raising jitney prices, only because I feel like we want to incentivize people to take the jitney and not drive and park. And so that would be my one concern about raising jitney prices.
So the jitney is about half of what the commuter parking is. So the commuter parking right now is $330. The jitney is $150.
A
It's
year?
really, yeah, it's really a good bargain. And
Yeah.
then
And
if
what
you
is
buy,
it now? What is it currently?
Like
150.
$2 a ride.
And what do you want to raise it to?
Well, if
$150.
Nancy suggested 15%, that would go by $23 more. It would go to 170, probably 175. And then a parking pass would go to 380. So it's still substantially less. It's less than half of what a commuter. So it is an incentive to take the jitney.
Yeah, but so 175 versus 150. It just starts to get expensive.
Yeah, well, everything does,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's expensive to us too to run the jitney.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
So
I'd like to expand jitney service, as you know.
I know, but this is about commuters.
Yeah.
This is, and people are getting a really good deal by taking the jitney and avoiding to have to buy a second car, station car and what have you.
Right. I think I have to think about it a little bit more. I think I'm not ready to say a yay or a nay right now. Do you guys, is Malia a yes on this already?
I'm just keeping it to the committee members.
Committee members. I
Because
think
I don't want to have a public debate. That would be done at township committee.
Yeah, I think I just want to sleep on it for a minute and think about it, if that's okay.
That's fine. We can talk about it next month.
Yeah.
There's still time. But I've sent that. The only thing is, look, I've sent this information out twice now. So at some point, the sleeping's got to stop and
Yeah.
everybody's got to make a decision.
I apologize. I must have missed.
That's all right. It's okay. All right. Any other business?
I don't have any.
That's rare for you, Paul.
I know.
All right. Our next meeting is October 8th, and this was kind of a boring meeting. No public here, so
That's
that was
fine.
good. All right.
No.
I'll
Good
see
night.
some of you later on tonight. I'm
Bye.
sure it won't be a boring meeting.
Good luck.
All right. See you.
Bye.